Yes. All right, we are live. Hello, hello. If you are catching this part of the video, you are most likely watching it on the replay. So say hello and let us know. Look down at your day, your time, and let us know what time and day you're watching this. We're going to see how long this video goes on, right? Mr. Kevin, it will be fun to see that. So you guys, happy Thursday. I am so incredibly excited about this video. This is actually, I think, the first, maybe second time, first time in probably 2 years I have interviewed you, Kevin. And you guys, this is my friend, Kevin Beauchamp, and we met how long ago?
It was in, 2018. And let me correct you
18?
for my followers correct you. We pronounce it Beecham here.
Beecham. I'm sorry. See, I
That's all right.
always pronounce it wrong.
Nobody knows me by my last name anyway. So I think it
And
was,
I never call you your last name.
we met in person, I think, at Elise's last event in Charlotte, maybe.
You're right. You're right. So
Right.
you guys say hello when you're hopping on. I'm so incredibly excited to be hosting Kevin tonight because, hi Alexa, hi Leanne, really truly because of his story, and it's a different story than what you normally would hear on my page. So let me give you a little introduction and then we're just going to dive right in. So if you guys have questions, if you have comments, drop them below, and we will ask as many questions as we possibly can. And so the thing that I love so much, and I have followed along with Kevin, is that he is just a lifelong servant. And not only now, but in his prior career, he was a state trooper. He was disabled from being a state trooper and really went through a lot of things. And he's going to get into sharing what he feels comfortable sharing, but really went from that and took that. And I want you guys to think about, like, state trooper, think about the state troopers, I'm not like profiling you or anything, but but I'm thinking about that. And then you go to top 1% network marketer. Like, I'm not sure I know anyone else like that, but I think your story is so incredibly unique. So first off, before we dive into all of that, I want everyone to know just a little bit about your background. So just share with us a little bit about who you are and your background.
Well, I'm Kevin Beauchamp. I am in my 52nd birth year, essentially. I grew up on the eastern shore of Maryland. We're about an hour and a half from Baltimore, 2 hours from DC along the coast. And I've been here all my life between Maryland and Delaware. The state line is really close. I've been married for almost 22 years now. I have a 17-year-old daughter that's getting ready to graduate high school. And my son is going to be turning 15 this year. So, yeah, that's one of those things. And, I went to college for law enforcement because I thought that's what you had to do. And when I graduated, I started in the law enforcement field, and 20 and a half years into my career with the state police is when everything changed for me. But I'll circle back. I met my wife. My wife was a prosecutor, and she has done many things in her career and now is a prosecutor. But I met my wife about my 4th year on the job, her first few months on the job. She was a domestic violence prosecutor, and I arrested a gentleman for domestic violence, and that's how we met.
Oh,
And,
really?
went
Very
on a
cool.
date, and that's all it wrote. I mean, everything went perfectly since then.
That's amazing. That is so great. And I knew you guys met on the job, and I knew what she did now, but I didn't know that it was like through a case and stuff. So that is cool. All right. So tell us a little bit, like, when you were doing that role, had you ever heard of network marketing, direct sales? Did you have any experience in this? Like, why you were doing that? Tell us a little bit about that.
No, I had zero experience. The only thing that I had ever sold was gasoline at a gas station, and it kind of sells itself. And in high school and college, I'm a car guy. I worked at the gas station where we actually still pump the gas and wash the windows, but no sales experience. I didn't know anything about the word network marketing until I became with Lavelle. I knew the Tupperware lady. My mom was a Mary Kay lady at one time. And I know my grandmom had some Avon stuff, but I just thought that was, they sold that stuff from home. And I actually went to a couple parties with my mom, a Mary Kay party, when I was probably about 9 or 10. And what a horror experience that was. But I didn't know that was network marketing or multi-level marketing or anything like that. It's just that, mom sold makeup.
Yeah. It's so funny too that those are the ones you bring up, Mary Kay, Tupperware, and Avon, because that's like, I remember going into like the office. Who remembers this? Drop this in the comments if you remember this. I went into the office and there would always be like a little Avon book, like a little, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need some Skin So Soft.
Right.
Like I just remember that. So yes,
Avon
I mean,
lady
even,
calling.
Right. And I just remember, like, I'm pretty sure that I probably was talked to in the parking lot by a lot of Mary Kay people. So it is funny how you don't know, but then you're like, wow, that really was in part of my life. So tell us a little bit about how you got introduced to the Thrive experience from a product standpoint, but then I also want to hear, because I don't know if I've ever heard you share the story about how the transition happened. Like, how did you go from, your state trooper into being in the top 1% network marketing?
All right. Well, we'll start with, how I left the state police. With the state police, as you get promoted, and I was promoted several times. The last one rank was first sergeant. They assign you across the state. So my last assignment was roughly 2.5 hours from my home. Wow. I commuted each way. I was doing close to 5,000 miles every 10 days.
Wow.
And on my way home one day, an elderly lady turned in front of me on the highway. I don't necessarily remember the accident. I remember some flashes, but I woke up in the state police helicopter being flown to the Maryland Shock Trauma Center in Baltimore. I had suffered a broken neck and a level 3 concussion, which is with memory loss, and I lost 2 years of my memory. And it's still not come back, which means, I lost the family vacations. Like they would say, do you remember us going here? And I'm like, no. And Christmas. Occasionally I will see something or I'll touch something and I'll get a flashback of a memory, but other than that, it's completely gone. So wow. I spent, yeah, it led to blessings. I didn't think so at the time, but it led to that.
Yeah.
While recuperating with surgery, one of the treatments that one of the doctors wanted me to do for PTSD was to travel back through the collision intersection to see how I handled it. My wife was driving, but I completely blacked out and went into what's considered atrial fibrillation, which means, for those that don't know, your top of your heart and your bottom of your heart are not beating in the sync, and it can cause stroke and all kinds of things. But rushed me to the hospital later that night because I didn't know what was going on. And they said, you're in AFib. And I was like, what's that? And shocked me 3 times to get it back into line. And, I was off to the races of being a product of modern medicine and doctor's visits and a broken neck that I still have the scar on my neck from. I had a C5, C6 fusion. And in that process, I suffered, I knew that I was done being a trooper, and it's still emotional, but
yeah,
because that's all I ever wanted to be.
Yeah. It was your passion.
That part of my life was done. I had gained close to 80 pounds. I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'4". I've shrunk a little bit. I was 6'5". And I could carry probably 30 to 40 pounds, but it was getting to the point where, it was showing in my face. My knees were aching from the weight. And my cardiologist said, you have a choice. And it was this, or else. And I didn't want the or else. And it scared the shit out of me, frankly. And I decided at that point they couldn't figure out why my heart did what it did. It turns out it was because of stress and pain. So your mind controls a lot of things. But while they were trying to figure out, because he said your pump is fine, there's something electrical going wrong. So they took me off all caffeine, which means no coffee, no soda. He says, I don't even want you having it in chocolate, which, you know, as a trooper, I was used to drinking, you know, I drink more water in a day now than I probably did total in my life.
Sure.
Because we lived off of coffee and energy drinks and everything else like that. So that was a rude awakening. I was tired. I was dragging. I was 79 pounds overweight because all I did was, you know, eat my feelings. And much like we all do today on, you know, Facebook, we're scrolling people's feed, whether we're looking at puppies or cars or whatever. And I saw a friend from the state police talking about this supplement, and I knew nothing about network marketing. I didn't know, maybe he bought it at GNC or whatever. And, you know, at the time, him and I didn't get along. And his name's Larry, 14 now. And I actually had blocked him because he was that guy, you know.
I didn't know that. Because of him posting things?
Yeah, the raging Steeler fan, because I'm from Maryland. I'm a Ravens fan. And he was just rah, 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 rah. And you know, I was like, whatever. So, but my wife saw his post, and I looked at her laptop and said, what is he talking about? And so I unblocked him and sent him a message. He said, it's this, and this. It's this amount of money, and you just order it, and then when it comes in, I'll talk to you. Now, at the time, I was pending my disability retirement, so I had taken a 70% pay cut.
Wow.
Which is a lot for anybody to take.
Yeah.
So the discussion of spending, you know, 1 month of Thrive, which at the time it was $150. That was a serious discussion with my wife, because you're talking about $150. And she said, all right, I'll let you order it once to see if it works. If not, we're done with it. And she gave me the blessing, and I ordered. And from day 1 to day 9, I noticed nothing, which
really,
yeah, I was the state trooper. You know, I didn't trust anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I trust some family members, but that's it. I mean, on Facebook, I had 267 contacts. Now I got close to 5,000. So there was a trust issue, whether or not he was a state trooper or not. You know, this wasn't something that you could buy in the store. And by day 8 and 9, I was like, all right, so I just blew $150 on nothing.
Wow.
And, you know,
that was discouraging, you know, especially when you probably hear like, oh my gosh, you feel it day 1, day 3, day 5. Yeah.
Right. And I reached out to him, and he said, just keep taking it. Keep taking it. He was new. I was new. There wasn't, we didn't have all the experience and upline experience that we have now, because we're talking almost 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I remember on the morning of day 10, I had taken up a temporary job to try to make ends meet at the house. And, you know, I was sitting in my office chair. It was an office job. I was wearing like slick bottom shoes and slacks. And I just felt a wave of energy come over me that honestly I hadn't felt probably in a couple decades. And I ended up, I said, I got to do something. So I did some push-ups and dips in my chair because the floor was dirty. I didn't want to get on the door. And the guy that was working with me turned around and he goes, what in the world are you doing? I said, man, I feel so great. You know, I didn't know if it was going to go away. So I said, I want to use this right now. You know, I want to see what I can do right now. And I felt like going for a run, but I couldn't because I had, you know, dress shoes on. And I made a mistake and I still remember this, and I've told this story many times, so my wife doesn't get mad anymore. But I made a mistake. I didn't call my wife and tell her this wave had come over me. I called Larry first, and I said, I don't know what it is or what's in it, but I feel amazing. And what's next? And he said, well, you just, you know, keep ordering and you'll be fine. And he told me something about getting it for free. And I didn't pay attention because during that time in my life, I'm a completely changed person now. And I know that. But during that time in my life, you know, you could tell me that the sun is out and I would look out the window and say, no, it's not,
Yeah.
because nobody can tell a state trooper anything other than, you know, maybe their parents or their wife. But I didn't listen to Larry. I knew what was right. I could do this. So I went on and said, all right, so I can get this stuff for free. I guess I need to be a promoter. And I hit the button and my phone rang like 2 minutes later. And he said, what are you doing? I was like, you know, I want to get my product for free. You got to hit this button. So he says, no, you didn't have to do that. And I was like, okay. So I was in, and it went well, mediocrely for like a year, because another thing that I learned is that being a multi-level marketer or a direct promoter of a product is not like working for the state police, where I had 50 some people under me and I could say, go stand out on the corner and count the cars that come through the stop sign. That didn't work with many people. Now there's a bunch of police officers and stuff that I had worked with that, you know, would, if I said, this is great, you got to take it, they say, okay, Kevin, I trust you, I'll take it. But that didn't work with a lot of people. So I had to revamp my whole process. And at the same time, I was, you know, going through everything that I was still going through. I was still overweight. I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to get in shape. I wanted to get back where I was. So I was a busy time. And I was sitting in that same office. Carmel Stetler, our 200K and Lavelle Millionaire, much like you, put out a contest, and it was like a new Thriver 3-step order customer contest to get to win all this cash. Things were still tight then, Kelly, and I said, well, that's 500, and I think it was $580 or something. And I said, I'm going to get that. So I signed up 15 new Thrivers over the weekend, and Carmel called Claudia Steppen, who called Larry, and they all said, who the hell is Kevin Beecham from Salisbury? Because my PPA went up to 15 in like 2 or 3 days. And Carmel had called me and, you know, congratulated me, and, hey, I want to let you know about this, you know, our annual conference. And you know, she knows this story now, so I've told her that, you know, I was bullshitting her, and essentially I didn't want to go sit in a room and be told what to do. I didn't know what our conferences are like. And I blew her off for several days, and we were only 2 weeks out of the conference. It wasn't called Thrive Palooza. Now it was my first one in Dallas in 2017. She called me on the phone and said, she texted me and said, you got a minute? And I said, yeah. She called me, and some words were said, and then she dropped an F-bomb on me and said, are you going to get your F and ass to Dallas? And I was like, whoa.
Who is this lady?
Some tiger mama just dropped the F-bomb on me. And she then realized what it takes for me. I've been a public servant, paramilitary type of organization. And when someone above me, and Carmel was technically above me, says, do this, then I listen. And, you know, along with that, she, you know, talked to me about what I was doing wrong and what could be the potential. I didn't know anything about no auto bonus. She touched on that because she knows she figured out that I was a car guy. And it went from there. I think right before I showed up in Dallas, I hit 12K. I was totally awe-inspired by everything that went on. I think her name is Amy Purdy, was there that year. And I mean, I was in tears most of the conference just because I was being exposed to things that I had never been exposed to. And Claudia was sitting behind me. She reached up and tapped me on the shoulder. She goes, okay, because they were talking about timelines. Said, where are you going to be in 60 days, Kevin? And I said, I'm going to be a 40K. She goes, all right, I'm going to hold you to it. So within 18 days, I hit 40K, and within 60 days, I hit 80K. Wow. How inspiring. And then within I think it was 16 months after that, I hit the top rank of the company, which was an achievement. I'm an honest person. I've hit it several months and then it's backing down. This is an ebb and
Mhm.
flow type of business.
Absolutely.
I'm perfectly, happy with the way things are going.
Uh,
I've been an auto elite bonus earner since its inception, which again is important to me because I love
yes.
cars.
Yes.
And
That's $1,600 a month, right?
yeah, the $1,600 a month for 3 years straight. And some of the cars I've used all of it, and some of the cars it's not been, I've
Right.
not been using all of it, but it certainly has been a blessing to not have a car
Oh,
payment for
oh
over
my
4 years
gosh.
now.
I know. You guys, I mean, what an incredible story you have, really, truly. Like to be able to just take, and come in and be completely, not have any knowledge. But then I love the fact that it's so inspiring to people that you don't need any experience. You come in, you don't have a clue, but you love the product. You come in and you're like, hey, I don't even know what's going on for a while. And then all of a sudden you make your mind up. And I think one of the most impressive things that you said multiple times is like, you're like, I'm going to do this. And you actually go and do it, because how many times, I mean, you guys watching this, how many times have we said, I'm including myself in this, I'm going to do it, and we don't, or we give up, or we don't follow through, or we don't have the plan, or we think it takes less work than it does. So I love it. I love the fact that you have been consistent. I love the fact that you've really been able to help so many people, and I know your team loves you. So in closing, I just want to ask you, your final sort of closing, like, if there's people watching right now that are very skeptical about the business and about the product, like, what is a few things that you can say to them to offer them some encouragement that they are worth it?
As far as the product is concerned, I was a huge skeptic and probably almost quit after like day 8 because I didn't think it was working. Yeah, each of us are different. You may be one of those lucky day 1 thrivers, or it may take 8 weeks. But once you follow the directions and listen to your coach, and change your habits of eating, this product's amazing. I mean, I've lost 77 pounds, and I lost that within the first 12 months. I'm actually in better shape now than I was when I was 21, and I'm 52. So you give it a chance.
Yeah.
The products are amazing. You have to be coachable. And here's one thing that we don't always hear. You have to believe.
Yes.
Because your mindset, my mind gave me AFib because of the stress. And if you tell your mind this product is not going to work, then it's not going to work. You're going to think yourself out of it. As far as the business, we used to hear it's easy working your nooks and crannies and all that. And I can tell you that there are days that I do work in the nooks and crannies and fit it in, but I have to get certain things done during the day. With these puppies, they're driving me crazy, but I still have to get my to-dos in. And with no experience, law enforcement, I grew up in a small town of like 1,500 people. I live in a very, very small city now of like 15 to 20,000 people. And we have a lot of, ranking Thrive promoters here with me. So people say, oh, Kevin runs the shore. No, I don't know everybody. And I've known people for years. And then somebody come along on my team, like my neighbor, Laura Becker, who knows the same person, but they relate better to Laura. So they sign up with Laura. And it's just something that you have to do every day. It's consistently. If you're consistently putting in 1 minute a day, I don't think you're going to get much out of that. It's input equals output. And I can tell you that being a public servant and living on a pension, this company has allowed me to do and experience things that I never expected would ever have happened in my life. I mean, our family, if we were lucky, we took a long weekend vacation together. Prior to COVID, we would probably take 4 or 5 now, and 3 of them are paid for by Lavelle, But because of my commissions and my earnings with Lavelle, I have that extra income now to say, where are we going? Where's the family going this summer? Or should we take a fall trip? And we do that. Prior to COVID, we had a summer trip and a fall trip planned every year. And the company allows that to happen based off of my desire and my team's desire to better ourselves financially. Look, I mean, some people are happy with making an extra $400 a month because that pays a lot. I mean, that can pay electric bill, cable bill, and phone bill.
Yes.
And then we have some people that would say, you know, I'd like an extra $1,000 a month or $10,000 a month based on your desires and how much you want to put into it. The company will reward you.
Amen to that. And that is the truth. And that's the cool thing is like you get to make your own decision how much you want to put in. And that directly impacts how much you get out. So I love that. Kevin Moore has been on with us tonight and said, quote of the night, input equals output. So I am just so grateful for your time tonight. I know that everyone so enjoyed it. You guys show Kevin some love, if you will. And just say thank you. And if you haven't checked out his cute puppy live videos, you have to go check them out. They're so great. The girls and I really enjoy them. But I'm just thank you for everything that you have done, you know, over your career. Thank you for what you do inside this community and just, you know, for so many people. So it's been a pleasure watching. Like it's so I can see, we probably can see that in each other, like the self-involvement and the self, like you really just grow as a person, you grow as a leader. And it's really cool to be able to see that and to watch that process happen. And thanks for all you've always done for me too. So thank you guys for hopping on. Thanks for being on tonight.
You're welcome. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah. Good night, everyone.
Have a good day.